from me.
Okay, no problem at all.
Yeah, okay. And I
just because I know it's not quite my words, but that's no
okay.
problem.
Yeah, okay. My mistake.
Yeah.
Hello, everybody.
Like Jan often says, people are always saying what she has said, and she said, well, sometimes it is what she said, but often it's not what she said at all. So it doesn't matter, we're used to it.
Hello, John.
Hello.
Okay, so let's see if Ajahn is here. Are you there, Ajahn? So maybe Kun Em will let us know when Ajahn is there. It's now time, so we can just, I think, go ahead and start. Kun Em will let us know. Thank you, Kun Em.
ครับเดี๋ยวสักครู่นะครับ
Dạ. Không biết là anh Giao có định đặt câu hỏi gì không ạ?
Dạ, thưa không ạ, thưa cô. Nhưng mà để cho các bạn, nhưng mà nếu mà tình hình mà chống thì anh có thể có vài ý nhỏ.
Có lẽ là anh bắt đầu trước vì em chưa thấy có ai có
câu
tay
hỏi
để câu hỏi
các bạn thì xong rồi anh sẽ bắt đầu.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes, Ajahn, are you there? Sawadee-kha.
Sawadee-kha, Thalachan.
Sawadee-kha, Thalachan.
It was very soft, Jan. Maybe it can be a little louder. And we can't hear anything now. Very softly.
It's a little bit far away.
Khắp sắc cô khắp hàng trang hấp.
Có lẽ anh chưa sẵn sàng cho câu hỏi, cô Tâm Bạch có thể bắt đầu.
Just đợi một chút để xem Ajahn. You can try again, Ajahn. We don't hear you now. I just heard you, but not so clearly. Yes, better, Ajahn.
But not quite clear, Ajahn. Very soft. We can't really hear it.
It's like it's not continuous, interrupted.
Just while Kun Em helps Ajahn sort out her issue, I just want to make one comment to Kun Sao about what intellectual understanding or pariyatti understanding is. Because often people think that just the reading or the study, the thinking about the concepts, the ideas, the stories is intellectual or pariyatti understanding. But as we know, we can read the suttas, we can read the commentaries without any right understanding. So the pariyatti understanding doesn't refer to the situation or the reading of detail or the learning of the terms or the different citas in the processes. It refers to the understanding right now of what appears. So the pariyatti understanding is just for a moment when panya, cetasika arises, and there is the understanding of Dhamma, the understanding of reality that can be known now. But it's not the very firm understanding that is the direct understanding of the characteristic of reality. So it is still a concept about the reality, but it is the understanding of the nature of that reality now. So when we talk about seeing, and there's a little more understanding of seeing now, life is just a moment, such as seeing now, which arises and sees what is visible for a moment and then is gone. No one there that experiences, nothing that is seen. So when it is the wise considering and understanding now, it is pariyatti understanding. But we cannot say when we read the text or when we're in the discussion or we talk about this or that situation, we cannot just assume that it's all pariyatti understanding. It cannot be. At moments of seeing or hearing, no pariyatti understanding. At moments of attachment, at moments of ignorance, no pariyatti understanding. So it arises, the panya just arises for a moment to understand, to begin to understand what life is at this moment. So we have to distinguish between book study and the actual understanding. So I think that's clear now, Zhao, no problem with that?
Yeah. It's
So
clear.
like you,
It's clear now.
Good. Like you explained, one can read a detailed commentary of a sutta and there may just be confusion and misunderstanding. So when there is confusion and misunderstanding, even though it seems we're reading the Dhamma text, we cannot say it's pariyatti at those moments because there's no understanding. But there can be understanding of the confusion or doubt because those are realities. No selection at all. So it always comes back to this moment.
Thank you, Sarah. It's so helpful to me. Thank you again.
Thank you, Zhao. Let's see
And I would just like to add to that there can be pariyatti understanding without the understanding of the suttas, especially those with the deeper meaning, because the two are not necessarily connected. A person can have a beginning understanding of the nature of realities, but not have even read some of the more intricate suttas. And so one does not correlate directly to the other. Each book knowledge is one thing and pariyatti is another.
And the listening, the considering, the study is not for the purpose of getting something for oneself or having more understanding for me. It is just for the sake of understanding the truth because of the interest and the confidence in the value of understanding the truth. So one doesn't have to think about oneself Have I understood? How much understanding do I have? Will I have more understanding if I read more? This is all a distraction, a hindrance from just studying, considering, understanding for the purpose of just understanding the truth of life at this moment, but not for me or for my family or for anyone, just for the sake of understanding itself.
Yeah, thank you.
Otherwise, we're lost again in the world of I and what can I get to help me, and forget about dhammas that are anatta from beginning to end. Shall we see if Ajahn is able to speak now? Would you
Can
like
you
to
hear
try
me
again,
now?
Ajahn?
Can you hear me now?
It's still very faint. Same as before.
Yes.
Yeah. คุณวรศักดิ์คุณเอมเกิดอะไรขึ้นคะ What happened?
So maybe I can go with this detail coming from the changes between Zhao and Robert on the same thread. And Robert brought up a sutta where the Buddha taught the Dhamma to 500 followers with Dhammadina. I don't know whether you read that part. And the other day we read the sutta together, with the Vietnamese Dhamma discussion. And there's one detail that, we were little, not really confused, but, would like to understand it more. Because in that sutta, after the Buddha taught the Dhamma, the deep Dhamma about anatta, he said that anything that is connected with sunyata is what you have to think about, to study and train yourself. And then Dhammadina said something like, because we are just followers, lay followers, and we are busy with many tasks, and that's very difficult for us to ponder upon those teachings in deep meaning. So, do you have any comment on this?
Well, there's a commentary note in the Bhikkhu Bodhi translation of this sutta, which says that the suttas that the Buddha was referring to are ones that relate to ascetic practices. And that was why they were saying that they would be unable to appreciate them. But the commentary note goes on to explain that unbearable task, an unattainable task, because the followers, Dhammadina and his or her followers, were asking not from a point of what they could understand, but asking as if they could understand anything that the Buddha, understand any answer the Buddha would give. And so the purpose of mentioning the unbearable task was so that they would then ask something that was more related to their level of understanding. And that's what happened following that in the sutta. I can't remember exactly what it was they asked, but it was, I think they said, well, we are confirmed in Sila, was it? And the discussion then went on at that level.
think somehow he said that he already established in the confidence in the triple genuine. And then the Buddha said
right.
that he declared Sotapanna-ship.
Sorry, can you pause a minute for come back to help translate because it was too loud from outside. I cannot hear you.
Sorry, what was that request?
Tâm là muốn chị dịch lại cái phần chị nói hay là phần của John nói?
Nếu mà chị làm được cả hai thì tốt.
Thế thì thôi để cái phần đấy sau đây cho nó. Chị nói phần của chị thôi, còn phần của John thì để buổi sau vậy.
Dạ.
I will just repeat what I said in Vietnamese, and then after that we can carry on. Yes, please carry on.
I think like we've often said,
Tôi nghĩ là như chúng ta vẫn thường nói rằng
understand everything that we read in the suttas and commentaries. So even in the Buddha's times, like last week you mentioned, someone brought up about and other friends brought up about Datunga practices. Can we understand the depth of wisdom involved for those who had the natural accumulations to follow these ascetic practices and live in the forest? Because for us, if we think about it or try to copy, it's just with ignorance and attachment and dosa, because no real understanding of those qualities of those disciples who could live so simply and not sleep and just live on very basic requisites. But what there can be confidence in is whatever arises is gone instantly. It is sunyata. There are just dhammas arising and falling away in life, anatta and sunyata. And no matter whether one is following ascetic practices and living in the forest or living ordinary household life like we are, or like Dhammadina and followers, understanding of dhammas can develop. And like you mentioned, the understanding the Adi Sila and other Adi factors was firmly entrenched, and they became sotapannas because of the understanding and refuge in the triple gem. So if we read parts that don't make sense or too difficult or too deep, just let it be. No need to mind or worry or think it has to be understood. Otherwise, it's just more clinging. It's not the understanding. It's not the pariyatti understanding of just what appears now or at that time while studying. And this is far more precious, the understanding of what appears, than trying to understand every detail that we read.
Yes, really. Thank you. Or try again to see if I can speak more clearly
The
now.
subtle clinging comes in all the time, even when reading a sutta like this, trying to know, trying to find out, trying to work it out, instead of just understanding what a life is at that very moment or this very moment.
Chan, would you like to try again?
Can you hear me now?
Oh, excellent now, Ajahn. Very
Good,
clear.
thanks, Ajahn.
Yeah. Very good. I think that understanding Dhamma is the beginning of understanding how subtle it is. That's why Buddha and the other person has to develop great understanding from life to life to understand even what is from life to life. When we read about the Bodhisattva and Parami, so now it's the moment to understand the deep and the subtle reality, and that is the path leading to letting go, because it's so very subtle. Otherwise, we think that it's just what we have learned and have known the truth of it already. But in truth, just the word of truth is there to begin to understand how subtle it is. Because even it's there now, the arising and falling away, and what appears is not as it is. Because what is seen is always something and someone. So the truth is that there is that which is not known at moment of seeing, because it's so subtle. And this is the way to condition more interest in understanding the truth in all aspects, in order to condition firm confidence by themselves, by realities, not anyone at all. Because now when we are talking, so many moments of citta and cetasikas arising, performing their function, unknown, and we keep on talking about the way it is. But in order to understand reality, the nature of it, as that which arises and experiences the object, or that which is now appearing, but it cannot understand or it cannot experience anything at all in life, there are only two different realities, but the way it appears is different from moment to moment by conditions. So now who knows that the path is developing very gradually while we are talking about the subtlety of what is there as it is. Even now, seeing is there, and we heard about it a lot, that it just arises by conditions and then gone. Why? In order to let go the idea of self or something belonging to someone or me anytime, the truth is not as we usually think about it, as I see and I hear. So it's so subtle. And this is the beginning of pariyati, to condition moment of attending to the truth, the characteristic of a reality when it's there appearing. Otherwise, even if they are there now, but no understanding of any one of them at all. But learning about it little by little, understanding the subtlety of realities is the path leading to let go. Ignorance and attachment, little by little, unknowingly, until time comes, see, all appears as anatta. But now anatta does not appear at all. But when right understanding is there, of the degree, at level of understanding the truth, even just very little, like it's there, awareness of a reality, that usually there's no awareness of that at all. If there's not enough condition from hearing, considering, nobody knows how much understanding is not developing. But when time comes, the reality which we have heard is there, appearing, no matter it's so short, but it's there, different from other moment, when it's just thinking about it and consider it. But when it's there to be known, anatta, no expectation, which one and what time at all. And this is the only way to let go ignorance and attachment to whatever is there, which is not known as it is right now. Little by little, Khanti Parami, Viriya Parami. So we can talk about the truth of whatever to condition moment of letting go until it can appear to direct awareness with understanding of very low level in the beginning, but it's known as it's different from just hearing, considering about that which is the object of thinking. But now it's not object of thinking, it's object of beginning to understand the truth, the nature of it, one by one, little by little, as it is. And this is pariyatti, understanding the vulnerable truth that any moment learn to understand the words of the teaching. It just points to the truth of what is there. So we learn about seeing because seeing is there now. We learn about thinking because thinking is there now. Unthought about it at all, but not enough conditions for it to arise. So life goes on, dhammata, as it is. But right understanding begins to develop secretly of being interest in the characteristic of that little by little unknown until right understanding develops to the degree that whatever is there in life is so natural understanding the truth. No idea about I am trying to know, but it's there already because of understanding from the very beginning. Pariyatti, to understand that which is now as we have learned pariyatti about the truth. So it's not just understanding anything else, but what is there now as we have heard and talk about it, to understand the truth little by little, to have firm confidence that it is conditioned. It's not anything, it's anatta right now, little by little. The path is developing at moment of understanding the profound of the words of the teachings about the truth of that which is so subtle. Otherwise, it's no understanding of the truth which is so deep of what is there now. It's just a word about it. So now it is developing, not I. See, at moment of thinking about the truth, it's there. No one. No need to say that I'm thinking, I'm considering at all. Realities arise and works its way from moment to moment. That's why we learn more about what is there, not just seeing. What about the reality, which conditions it's arising to see? We think about phassa, or no need to think about it, because it does not appear. But it's there to be known that it's a condition for seeing to see that which it contacts. So we can discuss anything in the text to understand the truth, and that's the way to let go. By time, by conditions, not by anyone else, or not by wrong understanding that I will do, or I can do, or I'm doing. Even right now, no one. It's so deep. Until right understanding get closer and closer and closer to the truth, stage by stage. Learning more about what is there now, which is not known. For example, viriya, see, it's there. Without it, there cannot be moment of understanding. And more than that, what moment it arises, it's a reality. It cannot arise with seeing, hearing, and so on. The ahetuka citta without hetu, no viriya arising with it. But it's more than that. We have to learn one reality at a time. For example, what citta as a hetuka, which does not arise with viriya. See, why do we learn? Just to see the subtlety of that which is conditioned. Nothing can arise without proper conditions for such reality. But anyone cannot understand the truth if Buddha didn't talk about it at all, about what is there. Not try to know it, but to understand the truth. It is so very deep and very subtle. It's there, unknown. So it doesn't matter at all what appears by conditions. When time comes to understand the truth, when it's there, unexpectedly, so anatta, it's there. No one makes it arise at all. Suddenly, instantly, by conditions, so it's anatta. To understand anatta now too, little by little. So we can talk about any words of truth, of realities right now to be known, little by little, until it's time for what appears unexpectedly, unknown before. What is there would be there by conditions, because it hasn't happened yet. Does anyone expect to have seeing as the object, beyond control, beyond expectation, breath, or anything, unexpectedly, unknowingly, and different from what appears right now? Because now so many things are appearing, it seems, but in truth, thinking about just a moment of one reality is that experiences one object. Imagine where's the world, and that is the truth. So very subtle. At moment of understanding is this, it let go. Clinging, ignorance, no one, no thing, little by little. So it can be understood just one reality, a little more, by conditions. For example, right now, there is seeing and touching. See, what would be object of attention or manasikara, or it's there with awareness directly, understanding the nature of it, precisely, a little more, by conditions. And other realities can be there by conditions. It can be doubt, or dislike, or frightened, or whatever, unexpectedly. But the development of understanding what is there is a reality only. When Panya is strong enough, it can go on. But when it's not strong enough, it stops. Just only that. So weak. It's so true by conditions. No one can change Dhammata. So now it's Dhammata of ignorance and attachment unknowingly. But when we talk about it, what is there unknown? And
So
this
this
is right
refers
understanding of the path.
And this refers to just the way it has to be by conditions. Seeing now has to arise when there are conditions. No one can make it arise. No one can stop it from arising. It's just the natural way that life goes. When the conditions for seeing, it arises, and immediately it falls away. When there are conditions for attachment, no matter whether reading the sutta or watching television or in a discussion, it arises and is gone. Dhammata. It cannot be any other way. So it's pointing to how whatever is conditioned now is anatta. It has to be that way, not in anyone's control at all. So whatever we read about in the suttas is actually about dhammas that are conditioned and anatta. I'm sorry, just go ahead, please. So even when the Buddha taught Dhammadina, some details so very deep, so there has to be the appreciation of what can be understood, what can be known now. So like last week when friends were asking about Dhatunga practices, and we just read with our own idea, but not really any understanding of the dhammas, which are dhammata, conditioned, and anatta, different for different accumulations. So we all live different lifestyles. For some, it is a very natural way to live the life of a monk, but most of us, not at all. So understanding what is true, what is real now, no matter the circumstances, is the teaching about dhammas as anatta. And what has arisen is gone all the time, sunyata.
So is it time to talk about practice? What is it? Is it real? And what is there?
It might be useful to just summarize the points that people were interested in last time for Ajahn when she was away, and why they were interested to discuss about Dhatunga practices and so on.
Is it the teachings of the Buddha? What did Buddha say?
Yeah, last time, actually, it was not really the interest in Dhukanta practices, but it was kind of wondering in what way the practices of Dhukanta can be kusala, because it seemed to us that the attempt to stay without lying down, for example, it's all about me wanting to do something. So the focus was on in what way those ascetic practices can be kusala.
What reality is taken for practicing? Is there any right understanding of what is there now? So what is the point of practicing? No understanding of what is there. So what is the object of understanding, of practicing? No question, that's why just follow the word. but it's not the teachings of the truth of anything at all. Because no understanding of what is there right then at moment of thinking about practicing, or one is practicing, what is there. Satya Barami, what is true, what is the truth, what is there as it is, nothing or something. What is there right then at moment of taking it as practicing? Is it seeing or thinking or what? Or considering, or just wanting, wishing? That's why it's not easy to understand who's the Buddha and what he realized and what he thought about. We can study about each word of the truth from his enlightened. Each word like Dhamma, see, reality. Anything which is there real is a reality. Before it's there, it is not there. But how come to be there? There must be conditions for whatever arises. So before practicing, what is there? And when it's practicing, what is it? What is the teachings of the Buddha? What is the purpose of helping, sharing the other to have understanding of the truth? Great kindness, because the truth is there now. But no understanding of it. Just try to do something not to know it. Is that true? Satya Barami. Panya is not afraid of the truth at all. It's so true. It's true. Nobody can change the truth. So anyone who is practicing can explain what is it, and what is the purpose, and what is the goal, and what is there each moment of practicing. We use the word practicing in any language, but in Pali it is bhavana, the development of understanding, little by little, until it's strong enough to understand what is there as we have learned right now. Because it's so true. Just one object at a time appearing. Is that true? And when there's no understanding of that which is there, ignorance, it cannot understand the truth. It's there. And without understanding, it's there to be clung to as something all the time because of ignorance. And ignorance is no one at all. It's opposite of right understanding. And right understanding is not afraid of anything at all because it understands the truth. That actually there is no one, no thing, only conditioned reality arising and falling away secretly in life, from life to life, unknown. Everyone now here has to die. But what is death, and what is birth? What is there? It's there already, but where is now? So what is that? Everything is realized by the enlightenment, as he had enlightened the truth, as Samma Sambuddho. So each word from his enlightenment is so true. All dhammas are anatta. And what is Dhamma? To be known little by little. How is Dhamma? Why it's not something? Beginning to understand the nature of what is there as a reality for a very short moment and then gone. Before it's there, it's not there. But how come to be there? By conditions for it to arise, and then after it has arisen, it's gone. Is it true? What is now birth moment, or seeing moment, or thinking moment? Every moment is gone secretly. So it seems like there are so many realities together appearing, but in truth, just one moment of experiencing an object only, from moment to moment, so closely that it seems like nothing arises, nothing falls away at all. But in truth, what about yesterday? What about just a moment ago? What about even just seeing right past one? Not this one, see? Is it a true? If it's so true, it can be known or it can be realized, but not with ignorance, only with a little more understanding to let go. What is there as something as before? The leaf, the doll, the chair is there. In truth, what is there? The ultimate truth. Thinking is not seeing. Liking is not disliking. Understanding is not ignorance. Everything has its own characteristic by conditions. This is where to let go the idea of something or someone or I. Gradually, little by little, unexpectedly how it develops to realize the truth one day. But right understanding is so true. It understands how much understanding of that which is now appearing. Only the nature of it learned from hearing, but the way it arises and falls away as nimitta, what does it mean, and so on. Each word is so true. To learn to let go what is there as something and someone in life, because in truth they are all dhammas, different conditioned dhamma, never be the same. A little more of this, a little more of that, added from moment to moment.
Achan, when you talked about getting closer and closer to the truth, can you say a little more about this? Because
Okay.
we know that yes.
Where's the world? See? Where's the world? Without seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, thinking, can there be the idea of a world? And where is it? Where is seeing right now? Is it there a world of seeing? Without seeing, can there be that which is seen as a world of seeing? It's so close, but in a day, it's forgotten. We live in life, in the room. Where's the room? Without seeing, so close at the eye base. So everything is so close, but it's so far away because no understanding is there, only there. Touching is there, hearing is there. See, is it far away? Is it so close? Closer than anyone can expect. Because where's the ear sense or ear base, where's the eye base, and where's the body base? See, so close in a minute, in a moment, in split seconds, it arises and falls away. Is that the teaching of the Buddha? So true because he had enlightened the truth much more than anyone can expect. That's why I consider the word of truth, whether it's true or not, or how far it's from understanding and letting go as no one and nothing at all, if nothing arises. But who can stop the way it is? It's there already. The moment of birth. It's so true, there is birth, but what is it? Without that which arises and experience an object, is it birth? No experience at all. And there cannot be two moments of experiencing because conditions is different. Seeing cannot arise to hear at all because it is there. The conditions for its arising is there. So it arises there, so close. But it's not known. Where it's seeing, what it's seeing, is not known at all. That it's in a moment, so very short. And this is how deep and how subtle it is. The truth is covered up from life to life, eons and eons ago. And just talk about it, not understand the very subtle reality. So that's not the path leading to get closer to understand the truth. That's why just one word is not enough. Buddha taught about what condition seeing and where is that which is the base for seeing to arise and what is there. Some people think about the Jitasikas, but what is it? Without understanding one by one, closer and closer to the truth, it's impossible to get closer to understand that it's there now. No matter we talk about feeling or memory or attention, see, they're all there. But even seeing is not known as it is. It's taken for I all the time because it's the reality which experiences an object and no one there. So the experiencing is I who see, who else? That's why whatever is there is so very close. The innermost is the citta. From birth, arising and falling away, non-stop. No one can make it different from the way it is. It's not known from moment of birth up to now. And when we talk about the reality which experiences the object, it seems like it's not deep, but it does not appear. So it's just the idea that now what is seen, there must be that which sees. But that which sees does not appear. So in order to understand that which is seen as it is, it takes time to understand the truth that this is intellect understanding. When it's so firm, it conditions moment of attending or being aware of the characteristic that we have learned, it's there. Hardness is there. And there, see, no shape, no form at all. And in truth, where is it? The Kaya Pasada, not far away at all. It's here. That's why this moment of understanding is so very, very precious, to get closer, to let go the idea of something out of that which appears through eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, and mind. From eons and eons ago, right understand how far it is to get closer to the truth which is so close. And that moment is letting go the idea that cling to other way, practicing to what? Understanding the truth of what is there now. Impossible. Because it is understanding itself develops at moment of understanding the truth of each reality. Little by little, unexpectedly, how much is there developed, unknown, until it appears stage by stage. We talk about sati, but people just take it for granted, not understanding that when is it there to be known. At moment of akusala, it's not there. So at moment of trying to concentrate, is it there? Or concentration is there? So understanding the nature of each reality as a self is conditioned to let go. I am concentrating, I am developing, I all the time. And what about the other realities like Sanya Cetasika? It must and remembers. Does it appear? Before it can appear, how much understanding of the truth of what is there, little by little, one by one, develop enough to not forget the characteristic which must and remembers right now, rightly or wrongly, sanya vipalasa, or thira sanya of the truth. See, we learn about the truth closer and closer to this moment. But what is there now? It's not just word. What is the truth of that appearing now? And this is the profound teachings to understand the subtlety of all kinds of realities, all namas, all dhammas, all rupas, whatever is there, so very subtle. It's beyond thinking, it's beyond expectation, because only right understanding begins to have firm confidence of the truth of it, that it has to be only that. Seeing is moment of experiencing that which appears now only. It's not moment of thinking, liking at all. And this is life, from birth to death, on and on and on. So to be this person or this personality is just only in this life, before death, that's all. And after that, no more. Disappear forever, never to be found at all. Because what's gone, gone, never to arise again. And this is letting go, so very little at a time, but so true that it does not change the understanding of the truth. And understand it is so firm that it needs just letting go, ignorance of the truth, of what is there now, little by little. So we can talk about any reality, any word of truth, whether it's true or not. What is wrong is wrong. What is practicing, What is the explanation of it? What does it mean? Does it let go any ignorance of what is there now? And know what's the word of the Buddha, the enlightenment, and what is not the word of the Buddha. Each word out of enlightenment is so true. Ultimate truth. So each moment of understanding, naturally letting go wrong understanding and ignorance and attachment. So very little comparing to what is not heard before from life to life. So long time ago, eons and eons. But it's there still to be heard, to be considered, to be truthful to the truth.
So in the beginning, Tam, when there's just a little understanding of what seeing is because of listening and considering, it's not close to understanding the truth of what seeing is. It's just the beginning of considering. But as the understanding develops, it gets closer and closer. It means it begins to understand more and more what seeing is when it appears, until that reality appears well, until there is direct understanding of it. But even then, the understanding has to develop on and on until that characteristic of seeing appears very clearly indeed. And then it is the very close understanding of the sign of the reality of seeing, or whatever reality appears. So it is the understanding that develops deeper and deeper to penetrate the truth about different realities, to really understand those dhammas as anatta, to understand their nature just as they are when they appear. So this is how the understanding gets closer and closer. Actually, seeing is always close now. Hardness that is experienced is always close now, but it's not understood. So when we hear about getting closer, it's referring to the understanding getting closer or penetrating more and more deeply what is here now, what is actually close but not known now.
Thank you. So when we hear about hearing or seeing, for example, we just get an idea about what is talked about. But when understanding develops, it gets closer to the characteristic of seeing or hearing or other reality.
Until it's not just an idea based on what has been heard, but it is actually the direct understanding, the penetrating of the nature of that reality that we have heard so much about. So the understanding has to develop gradually. And when the understanding develops and understands the nature of different realities, no idea or thought of anyone practicing, because no one to practice or do anything at all, because there are just these dhammas which are already close to be understood. So really it's just our interpretation when we read the text and we think that those monks are following certain practices, for example, or following particular activities. But actually, for those monks, it is the natural way of life. It is dhammata, different realities arising by conditions according to the accumulations and understanding. So the more understanding gets closer and closer to the realities, we know this is how understanding has to develop, no matter the circumstances.
And this is the subtle understanding, pariyatti, of the Four Noble Truths, the fourth one. See, if there's no such understanding of the first round of the Four Noble Truths, the past included, how can it develop to the degree to understand what is there as not self? The self is there, practicing. Is it profound or subtle just to do anything and think that that's the way to realize the truth? But the truth is there now. And what's the way to understand the truth at each moment? That's why I just learned about the 3 rounds of the Four Noble Truths. There has to be the understanding of the past, which is so very subtle too. In right understanding of the first round, it can condition the firm understanding more and more and more. Otherwise, there cannot be the second round of the Ariya Satya. The path is so deep too, not as we take for name, like Sammatiti, Sammasankappa, and so on. That's only the word, but the truth is there now. See, at moment of understanding the path, the subtle fourth Ariya Satya. And the Makkapajya is there now. Right understanding, right vitaka, and so on, Sammasankappa, Viriya.
Makkapajaya. Can you elaborate more?
Path, condition, Maggapachya. So not just at those moments of developing the path, but the path factors can condition other dhammas, other namas and rupas by Maggapachya. And in this connection, it's deeper because even the wrong factors like the Miccha Ditti can condition also by way of Maggapachya. Wrong effort, wrong concentration. There's no wrong sati, there's no wrong viriti, but there can be wrong understanding, wrong vitaka, wrong virya, wrong samadhi, conditioning at different moments in life. So right and wrong path factors conditioning by Maggapachya. Like when people talk about, well, earlier Ajahn was talking about virya, and usually there's the idea of someone making an effort, but this is miccha bayama, wrong effort, conditioning by Maggapachya at those moments, and wrong concentration at those times too, trying to focus on an object, trying to make an effort, not understanding the nature of virya and how it arises with almost every citta in life, apart from most of the ahetuka, the rootless chittas, like seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, and other chittas that arise without roots. But otherwise, virya is there at each moment, arising and falling away. So when it is a kusala chitta arising with lobha or with wrong understanding, then it's wrong effort at those moments, a kusala virya.
By the way, when we talk about rupa conditions by chitta, that means chitta and chittasika, right? Because as you mentioned about virya, I was thinking about, sometimes we make an effort to do some physical things, for example. Then at that moment, the rupa conditioned by the chitta accompanied by that virya, most of the time akusala for sure.
Right, because when we refer to chitta, chitta can never arise alone. It has to be accompanied by the chaitasikas. So the chitta and its accompanying chaitasikas condition rupas, like, for example, when moving, when intending to move, and the rupas are conditioned by chitta when demonstrating with our hands, and we know that the kaya vinyati and the other rupas with it in the group are all conditioned by chitta. But the chitta has to also be accompanied by chaitasikas, and the chitta and chaitasikas condition each other when the chitta is rooted in lobha, when lobha and akusala factors arise. The rupas conditioned are different from when the chitta and accompanying chaitasikas are kusala, when it is rooted in alobha, adosa, and sometimes amoha.
Hello. Sorry.
Sound difficult.
I'm sorry.
It's okay now, I think.
Yes. Excuse me. John, several weeks ago, you said it is not how many dhammas are known or how well their individual characteristics are known, but how well the characteristics of anicca, dukkha, and anatta are known, because these characteristics also characterize what life in samsara is all about. And it is the letting go of life in samsara that it has to eventuate by virtue of understanding. So if one just knew the individual characteristic of dhammas and not their common characteristic, one would not see the unsatisfactoriness, the repulsiveness, the danger, and that sort of things in life in samsara. And John, I was confused. Then I think of just saying like this. There are many realities arising now, but just some of them appear regularly, such as seeing, hearing, visible object, sound, talks, lobha, dosa, etc. And when those realities are considered again and again, are known again and again, more and more clearly, there is also a process in which the three characteristics of anicca, dukkha, and anatta are understood more and more clearly. And at the time when the three general characteristics become so clear, that completely eradicated the idea of self, and that is enlightenment. I'm wondering if what I understood is right or not. So please talk about this. Ủa, em có cần phải nói tiếng Việt không chị?
Đã được dịch sang tiếng Việt song song luôn rồi em ạ.
Am I waiting for translation?
It's already translated
Oh, okay.
simultaneously. Please go on.
Okay. Thanks, Little Han, for your question. Well, I don't know which part you are concerned about, but I wasn't suggesting that there is somehow a limit to the number of realities that might be known. It happens by conditions. Whether that number is large or small would depend on conditions, and I assume might vary a bit from one individual to another. I was just trying to highlight the difference between understanding the individual characteristic of a reality and understanding the three common characteristics of a reality. Because it seems to me that for many people, they think that the development of the path is all about understanding the individual characteristic of as many different realities as possible, especially the different kinds of agusala, for example. And because many people have the idea that the eradication of agusala happens by being aware of or noticing the agusala as and when it arises, and that is somehow a condition for its eradication. So, to my understanding, the thrust of the Buddha's teaching is to understand whatever appears without having to be concerned about whether it's a reality that of one kind or another, or without being concerned that there isn't the understanding of such and such reality, whereas there should be. And it's just another way of presenting what Ajahn often says, that it's the understanding of what is appearing at the present moment. And if it's not appearing at the present moment, then it can't be the object of awareness and understanding. Does that answer your question?
Thank you, John. I think a little bit clearer, but I need to listen again. Thank you, John.
You're welcome, little man.
Little Hung, I think it is by understanding what appears now, understanding the Dhamma, getting closer and closer to understanding the characteristic of what appears now, that gradually there is more and more understanding of Dhamma as anatta, because by understanding, for example, sound that is heard now, getting closer and closer to the characteristic of sound, how can the sound be anything? How can it be a voice or car or wind in the trees? It's just sound that is heard. It's not a thing. It's not someone. It's just the reality of sound. So it is the understanding of different realities that leads to the understanding of the nature of Dhammas as anatta. And by getting closer and closer still until that sound appears very clearly, as that understanding continues to penetrate its nature, it begins to understand its nature is to arise and fall away, not just by thinking, but by understanding the characteristic of sound, getting closer and closer to its nature. And that which arises and falls away is unsatisfactory. It's actually useless. It's not any refuge because it's gone already, of no importance at all, completely gone. And the same is true of any conditioned reality. That's why it is dangerous, it is foul, it is all the things that you mentioned, because it's already gone instantly, but it's clinging to what has gone again and again. So by understanding the nature of individual characteristics of realities, by getting closer and closer, that is the way that gradually there is more understanding of the general characteristics of these dhammas common to all. Each one that is conditioned is anatta, not in anyone's control. Each one arises and falls away instantly and is unsatisfactory. So I think we make it difficult when we start thinking about what I should know first and how I can understand this and that, instead of just understanding what appears now. As Jonathan mentioned, just what is seen now, just what is heard now, thinking now, pleasant feeling, unpleasant feeling. Dhammata, these realities arise and fall away naturally, and the understanding can naturally develop, but not I that can do anything, I that can practice, I that can make the understanding arise by reading or listening or attending so many discussions. The understanding has to just work its way very naturally, not hindered by the idea of I trying to do something or trying to speed it up.
Thank you, Sarah. And I certainly have a thought that even in the Buddha time, no one could understand all the detail. For example, no one could understand could directly understand on the chitta, on cetasika and rupa, and on the detail of the teachings. No one.
Even the arahats, for whom no more kilesa, no more defilements at all, still continue to listen to the Buddha, continue to learn, So the Buddha taught what is useful for different accumulations, but it depends on the understanding and the accumulations, what can be known, what can be understood, and what cannot be understood. What's the use of minding or worrying or being concerned about it when understanding develops? Those details may be understood and maybe not. It doesn't matter. What matters is now, here and now, understanding what appears now, no matter it's confusion or doubt or seeing or hearing. It doesn't matter at all. They're just different dhammas arising and falling away.
And just to add to that, a couple of points. One is that Ajahn often indicates that cetasikas like phassa, for example, will never appear to be known. They are just there operating, fulfilling their function with every citta that arises. But their particular characteristic will never will never appear to be known. And the other was that, I forget the other point now. I'll just leave it at that. Thanks.
Thanks, John.
Yeah, John can add anything to the topic, as we don't have much time left.
I would just add, in this now, phassa doesn't appear, but who knows in future when understanding develops to what degree, what will be known or what will become clear. We don't know, all beyond expectations.
And I think the other point I was going to make is that this discussion, I think, highlights or supports what we sometimes say, that it's the understanding doesn't have to understand how or why everything is the way it is, but it just understands the nature of the reality that is appearing at the present moment. Of course, as understanding develops, it does know a lot about conditions. I'm not saying that that understanding doesn't develop, but the object of the understanding is always the reality appearing. And the understanding gets deeper and deeper as it develops, so it knows a lot more about the reality, not just its unique characteristic, and not just the common characteristics, but also the conditions, to a certain extent, the conditions that are applying at the present moment. But the extent to which that is known by Panya is, again, dependent on conditions and will vary from one individual to the next.
Yes, it's interesting. I need to think over it. Thank you.
I also think that when we think about knowing the individual characteristic without knowing the anatta-ness Dhamma, the common characteristic of Dhamma, is usually just an idea, not the real characteristic, because everything is mixed up.
Still something, it's just a conventional idea of being angry or having kindness, for example, or seeing, but it's not really the understanding of Dhamma because when it's the understanding of Dhamma, then it's clear what is meant by Dhamma as anatta.
I think we tend to be very focused on trying to understand, is it this or that Dhamma at the present moment also, rather than allowing understanding to develop naturally, and then it becomes more apparent what Dhamma is what as time goes by. I'm not sure if Ajahn was speaking before, because I think you invited her to say something, did you, Tom? And as time is running out.
Just one question again. Only one question again. What is there now? To lead to more questions. Food for considering. Food for understanding. See, what is there now? Seeing. So the question is, does seeing appear well? Or does that which is seen appear well? Just two questions. Not beyond one's considering, because it depends on the understanding. The answer is there correctly. To know the reason for how cannot it appear well. See, there has to be the answer depending on understanding. Otherwise, without understanding, how can there be a moment of considering? Just why it does not appear well? Because everyone say, it does not appear well. Why not? For everyone to think about it. สวัสดีค่ะ
สวัสดีครับ
สวัสดีค่ะ
Ajahn สวัสดีครับ